And I'm delighted to welcome live to Drive Time England, Manchester United superstar Wayne Rooney joins us. Hello Wayne, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on our show. Firstly, do I call you Wayne or Wazza? What do teammates call you? What does Benty call you?
Benty's a friend, so...
Oh, John,
what's my
Wayne.
I'm only joking.
How about Mr. Rooney?
Yeah, no, you can call me whatever you want. I'm easy.
I'll call you Wayne. Listen, thank you so much for coming in. We'll talk about how important the evening is going to be for you and Farah, of course, a bit later on. We've been told we got you for 4 hours. Is that okay?
No problem.
Okay. Let's start off with what you're up to now, Plymouth, right? Because you had another good win over the weekend. 14th at the moment in the table. And let me start by asking you, actually, I was reading about your club and what fans thought of you going there and how much of a risk it was and what the plan would be for you going forward as a club. And a lot of fans wrote down that they're really enjoying the fact that not only what you're doing is good things at the club, but you're integrating the youth, you're bringing through a lot of young players. Is that immediately when you go to your club or your new club, is that the plan you have?
Yeah, I think what was important is when we went on the pre-season tour, I brought young players with me to have a look at them and try and integrate them into the squad and get a better idea, because I'd heard things about a few of the players, young players, and so I wanted to see them really and how they handle being around first team players. And there's 2 or 3 very good young players, and we had the 16-year-old on the bench on Saturday. So yeah, I think it's really important for a club. And we know we haven't got the biggest budget in the world, but for any fan base to see players and local players coming through into the first team is always the best feeling. So yeah, it's important for us as a club that we integrate young players, but also it's important that we integrate them at the right time and they're at the right level to do that.
Do you think it's easier to do that? No disrespect to Plymouth, is it easier to do that at a smaller club than it will be coming to a big established Premier League side because the levels of expectation? Do you think?
No, I think it depends on the coach. I think it's something I've done at Derby County, something I've done at DC United. I had a young lad at Birmingham City as well, but I think we take a lot of time and with the individual development plans with the young players especially to try and get them into good habits, try and get them to understand the game a bit better. And if you do that, and the one thing they need is a chance. So, there's so many players who maybe are good enough and they never get that opportunity. So it's important we look at these young players, and we might have the next superstar on our hands, and if we never give them a chance, we never know.
One of the players you've got in your squad is, I don't know if you come across him much at Derby, was Morgan Whittaker. Now he's had obviously the reputation he's getting himself at Plymouth. What have you made of him at Plymouth? And also, did you know much about him when he was at Derby?
I sold him.
Oh.
So, no, Morgan's a fantastic lad. We were in administration, and so we were forced to really. We had no option but to sell him, and he went to Swansea. And the one thing I've said to Morgan at the time was, on the ball he's fantastic. He scores some fantastic goals. The next step now is his overall game, and this season something we've really worked on, and he's been fantastic. His work rate, his effort to get back and help the team out, alongside then his quality which he brings to us. He's a match winner. He's such an important player for us, and it's the reason I leave him on the pitch every game, is because he has moments, and like we seen on Saturday, he has that moment in the 97th minute and wins us the game. So delighted to keep him. He showed a real willingness to stay at the football club, and we're delighted to have him.
What are the main differences between being a player and a manager? I'm guessing aggression isn't one, because you got sent off at the weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, again, it's my first time as manager receiving a red card.
Was it straight red?
Yeah,
it was straight red. Okay,
but yeah, no, I think as a manager, coach, head coach, decisions happen on the pitch, and I think looking back, it's a free kick, so the goal shouldn't have stood. And in the Championship, we don't have VAR, so the officials missed it, and your emotion kicks in, and I'm a passionate person. We want to win. We worked extremely hard to win the game, and to have that taken away by, I felt, which was a mistake by the officials, I felt was really harsh, and I reacted in a manner which I probably shouldn't have, and the red card was deserved from that point of view. But from my point of view, beyond that, the fans were fantastic. It almost galvanised the stadium, the players, and we kept pushing, trying to get the winning goal. me and the club secretary in the tunnel were celebrating. I knocked his glass off, broke his glasses in the tunnel, celebrating. So yeah, no, I think the win was a deserved win, but yeah, sometimes it boils over a little bit, and that's the nature of football.
How do you find the Championship without VAR? Because I enjoy watching Championship football now, because there is no VAR. You guys score a goal, the linesman's on his way back to the halfway line, you know it's a goal, but sometimes in the Premier League it takes 4 or 5 minutes to get a decision. How do you find it as a manager? Is it frustrating? Do you prefer without it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think VAR has taken, and what I've just spoke about then, the emotion of the game, and you see players scoring goals and they're waiting to celebrate, and you miss that raw emotion of when someone scores a goal, and when you'd score a goal and you're looking over to see if the linesman's flag's up. If it's not, it's a goal. Where now it's what's going on. Even the night when the Villa Manchester United game got stopped for 6-7 minutes because the referee couldn't get his VAR, his microphone working, whatever. It's ridiculous, I think. So it's much better without VAR, and like I felt on Saturday, sometimes you're on the wrong end of them decisions, but what's that, you see a realism, you see an emotion, a passion, which maybe VAR coming in, you lose that a bit.
Would it have changed you as a player, do you think?
I think I would have got a few more red cards as a player in VAR. But yeah, I suppose it's changed everything really for referees, for linesmen as well. They're not making decisions, and they're going back then on like the offside rule where they don't put the flag up. I think is ridiculous. But it has got big decisions right as well.
Do you think that referees are less likely now to make big calls, knowing that decision will be looked at either way?
No, I think if they see it, they'll make the call. But I think if there's ones which are 60-40, they may be waiting to get a little bit of help from VAR. So. But yeah, and that's where it's more, when a Premier League referee drops down into the Championship to do a game, it's a different job, because the refereeing a game with VAR one way, and they have to referee it different without it. So for referees it can be very difficult, so I understand that as well. But I prefer it without.
We've got you for half an hour, and we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left, then we've got an ad break, then we'll talk a bit of England after. Can we talk Manchester United with you? Now, I'll tell you what is lovely, right? And I just want to let people know this, because they will be aware that whenever we get superstars in the studio, quite often someone will come up to us and go, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that. No one has said that. No one has come up to me and said, don't speak to Wayne.
Agent, then.
He's over there, he's looking. So let me get your view on what's happening with Manchester United at the moment, because of course it hasn't been the greatest start to the season. What do you put that down to? What's the reason why it's not clicking yet at Old Trafford?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think for everyone, and I know you're a United fan as well, and for everyone who wants Manchester United to do well, it's been frustrating, and being Manchester United 14th in the Premier League is not where they want to be, and with Ten Hag, I think what United have done in the last few years, they've changed the managers, and they've tried to go with a new manager and try and rebuild, but whatever one they've brought in hasn't quite worked, if you like. And Erik Ten Hag, he's an experienced manager. I think I know he's trying extremely hard to get it right. I think the culture of the football club is, we're seeing a lot of players who are coming in, a lot of foreign players, and I think Manchester United's identity was always a good core of British players, and I think that's maybe missing a little bit. So, players who can control the dressing room and help the manager out when they're going through difficult periods. So I think that's a big change, if you like, from what I've seen over the last few years. But we hope, Ten Hag can turn it around and get them back challenging.
How important is it that Manchester United don't turn into a cup team? And when I say that, of course, clearly when you were there, you win the league titles as well as cups. The last 2 years, Manchester United have won 2 cups, but their league position is sliding. They finished top 4 his first season, 8th last season. How important is it that they get back to the basics in terms of the Premier League season and trying to finish in that top 4?
Yeah, I think your season is the Premier League. That's what we always looked at, and then you had the FA Cup, Champions League, League Cup, whatever. But there's no better feeling than winning the Premier League. That's what you're working all season for, and cups you can win, which is great. I think I was at the FA Cup doing the TV at the FA Cup final last season when United beat City, and it's a great feeling, great for the fans. But as a fan, you want to see United consistently challenging. That's and Liverpool went through a period of 30 years without winning the Premier League. I think United have gone quite a few years now without without doing that. So it's important that you don't keep letting that carry on and slide, and then, as you said, you'd end up, happy with winning the League Cup or FA Cup. And Manchester United's bigger than that. It's such a huge football club, and in my opinion, has to be challenging every year.
How far? This is a horrible question. How far away do you think United are from winning the Premier League again?
Yeah, a long way away at the minute, but I think
over 5 years.
It depends what happened over the next year or two. I think what bringing the new owners in, Jim Ratcliffe and Dan Ashworth, they've got a good group of people in there, I believe, and I think the slowly but surely there's changes happening at the football club. I was there last week and seeing the changes happening at the training ground. You're seeing small changes which eventually will help the football club, and you hope that they get it right. And I think recruitment is massive, and they've brought some good men in to help with that.
Let me ask Bentino, our views are totally different here. I want to get your views on clubs that employ directors of football. So someone above the manager will identify a player he thinks is good long term for the club, and then give him to the manager. This is my understanding of it. The manager will have to coach that player into becoming a better player. But I can't ever see that working, because if there's a player that the club buy and the manager doesn't fancy him, he's not going to play him. As a manager now, how do you feel about clubs telling you, or other managers, in this case Erik Ten Hag and the technical directors above him, telling him what players he thinks he needs rather than the manager suggesting them? Does that work?
I think it's relationships and communication, and we have one at Argyle as well, and we really look a lot at data on players, and but what we don't do is there's that player, you just taking this player. We still have conversations. I get a list of players who were brought to me from the data, and I look at the players then alongside the recruitment team and say, yeah, I really like him, I don't like him, and then we go from there and try and sign the players we identify. So I think a lot of it is all about communication and relationship, because ultimately, it's myself and the coaches we have who have to go out there and coach these players, and do they fit into the style of play which you want to play, etc. That all has to be taken into consideration, and the manager, head coach has to have a input in that. Otherwise, it can become a bit of a standoff.
We're going to talk England when we come back. I've got one last Man United question for you. Okay, it's horrible, but I just want to know your views on it. Okay, the next time Manchester United win the Premier League, will Erik Ten Hag be the manager?
I hope so.
Okay, fine. Only because I love you, I'm going to leave it there. The legend that is Wayne Rooney will be joining us live and drive on talkSPORT. We'll talk England right after this. We are here in London honouring Farrell Williams. We spoke to Farrell moments ago. We've got with us now former England Man United superstar Wayne Rooney. We spoke about Plymouth before the break. We spoke about Manchester United. We'll talk a bit of England now, if that's okay.
Yep.
By the way, you smell fantastic. What is that?
It's an old school Fahrenheit.
Is it Fahrenheit? Yeah. Is it? Okay. Might have to get some of that. Their sales are going to go through the roof now, aren't they? Is it enjoyable for you to watch England as an ex-player? I ask that question quite often to former England players, and some of them say they love it, and others like, no, I find it difficult now. How do you find it watching England?
I love watching England. I think, especially the last few years, you get a little bit frustrated because you feel like go and push and win something. But yeah, no, I think watching England, same. I still get that buzz, of watching them as when I was a kid. So obviously I play for them quite a lot, but the minute I stop playing, I want them to do well. I want them to go and try and win something.
It's amazing. I mean, Gareth Southgate, he's no longer in charge, but how would you assess his time in charge? Because a lot of people think the positivity that he brought back to that England team, that sense of pride, which was lost a little bit. Do you think he did a good job? Yeah,
unbelievable. I think, to go to two finals, a semi-final, I think, he's done something, no one's really done after 66. So the players, I think, need a big mention as well on that, because I think their mentality has shifted, and I think having the likes of, and this is not taking anything away from Gareth, the Phil Fodens, the Harry Kane, the players working with the likes of Guardiola, the likes of Klopp, with working with some of these top managers at club level, helps their mentality, I think, and that helps when we go into England, and then Gareth has, just brought them to a point where we nearly done it. We nearly won a trophy. So yeah, I thought he'd done a fantastic job.
Lee Carsley in charge at the moment. You obviously played with him at Everton, right? Well, when you were with him, did you think, one day he's going to go on to be a decent manager? Because he obviously is, right?
Yeah, no, I never even thought of it, to be honest. And didn't play with him that long, and he was towards the end of his career. I was right at the start, so you don't look at a teammate thinking whether they go into managing or coaching at that age. And but from people I've spoke to throughout the game who've worked with him, I think he's a really good coach from everything I'm hearing. I think he's obviously took Ashley Cole in, he's took Jolien Lescott in with him. And the next step, I think he just has to continue what Gareth was doing, but maybe just, a little bit more urgency. I think that's the next step for him.
How important do you think is the next manager of England? It might be Lee, it might be someone else. That someone else, if it is going to be someone and not Lee, I get the impression it's going to be a big name manager. I'm still undecided whether or not England need a big name manager or someone like Lee who's familiar with the players. What do you think is best for the national team?
I think the big thing with the FA is over the last 10 years, they've built the pathway for these young players, and so there's been a lot of work put into it. So I'd be very surprised if someone like a Pep or Klopp or whoever, one of these big name managers comes in, because they'll want it their own way. I think what the FA have done, that's the reason Gareth was appointed, someone within who the FA can control a little bit and control everything what happens underneath the first team, where I think I get the impression if a bigger name manager comes in, then that goes out the window.
How far do you think England are away from winning something? I know it was lucky the penalty shootout against Italy, and then Spain, with the quality they've got, but are they on the cusp? And when you look at this squad, just how talented are they compared to the squad that you were in?
Yeah, they're very talented, obviously, and I think I just hope they haven't missed it over the last 2 or 3 tournaments, because obviously, you've someone like Harry Kane who's scoring all the goals for them. If he's not quite there in 2 years' time at the next tournament, what effect does that have? Who's the next goal scorer coming through? Which you hope they find one in that time, or you hope Harry is still banging them in. So I just hope they haven't missed it. But then you've still got Phil Foden, Grealish, Maddison. I feel could come into that. You've still got some exciting young players who have had a lot of tournament experience. So yeah, I think they'll be thereabout again next tournament, I'm sure, and just hope they can get over the line.
We've got some exciting players. You named a few of them there, Jude Bellingham being another one. I'm a massive fan of Cole Palmer. Who excites you as a former player? Who do you look at and think, I'd pay money to go watch him?
Foden for me. I know he hasn't played that much this season for City, but I think Phil Foden at his best is, he's the best player England have got. I think Cole Palmer's been, sensational over the last season and the start of this season. Jude Bellingham, obviously, he's doing a Real Madrid. But for me, Phil Foden is the one who I really enjoy watching.
We've got so many players that play that sort of either the 8, the 10, and Bellingham can play both. And we haven't even talked about Declan Rice, but there's only 3 players that can play in the middle of the park. There was a time, of course, where England managers would struggle to put Paul Scholes, Lampard and Gerrard in the same team, and it just didn't work. As a manager yourself, do you think you pick the best 11 players for each position, or do you try somehow to cram everyone in so you've got the best players on show?
I think you look at the opposition as well, and you look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and you try and put a team out to counteract their weaknesses, their strengths, and exploit the weaknesses. But I think the game has changed a lot since the time with Sven and with Stevie, Frank, Scholes. You're trying to get them all in. There's so much rotation now within the team. You're seeing fullbacks inside, wingers as number 10. So there's so much rotation where you can almost put players in wherever you want to put them, really, as long as you have that organisation off the ball. So it's I think it's a bit easier to get them all in the team now than what it was before.
You said there about Harry Kane, and you're right, he's been obviously brilliant for England, scoring all them goals, and maybe in 2 years' time he might not be there. Who for you then is number 2 in that pecking order behind Harry?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Obviously, Ivan Toney went, Ollie Watkins, when Calvert-Lewin, he's been off it the last few years, he was there. So that's up for grabs, I think. So if I'm Ivan Toney, Ivan Toney might have, ruined his chances maybe with his move. So Ollie Watkins, Callum Wilson's had his injury issues. So I don't think there's a standout player, if you like. So. And this is when we're talking about young players before. For young players who are maybe in the under-18s, under-21s, looking, thinking, the next 2-4 years, we've seen it happen with Kobbie Mainoo coming into the squad. They might be looking, thinking, I might be the next England number 9. So that should give you that desire and that drive to go and push for that.
We've got to let you go, sadly. We could talk to you for the next 30 years, but sadly we have to let you go. Before I do, you played with Darren Bent for England 7 times. All right? Nice roommate, nice player. Anything we should know about him? Because I only see the good side of him, but sometimes he lets his guard down, screams and shouts at me.
I remember the first. I think.
Here we go. This is
No,
good.
when I was young.
No, the first one was at La Manga.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
We went to, and I think I was a year or two younger than Benton.
Yeah.
So we went to La Manga. That was the first time I come across him, and then we played at Anfield together.
Yeah, my debut.
Was that
England,
your
yeah.
debut?
Yeah.
Played at Anfield together, and I remember saying to him, Benty, you can't just run in behind all the time. You need to try and get the ball, mix it up a little bit. So the next time in the field I got the ball, he was literally stood right in front of me. So I was like, no, don't go that close. I was trying to get a little bit of a connection with him. But no, I think Darren was very unlucky not to get more call-ups. I think there was a season where he scored 20-odd goals, and was that Theo?
Why is he? I didn't put him up to it.
If you hadn't said it, you would have said it.
Was that when Theo?
We talk about.
I mean, yeah, I think you should have went then, and so you're really unlucky.
It's funny though, isn't it, that he didn't?
It's horrible. It's every day I get this from him.
You had a good record with him. I'm being told 5 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat, and that was against Brazil. That defeat. Maybe that was the game you should have dropped back a bit more.
I didn't want to in that game.
I've been with you now half hour. I started off calling you Wayne. Can I end by calling you Waz? Is that
Of course
right?
you can.
Waz, thank you. It feels wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway because I adore you and I'm a big fan of yours. Thank you so much for coming on our
No
show
problem.
here at
Thank you.
talkSPORT on Drive. Have a lovely evening tonight. Well deserved, long overdue. And we'll be clapping, we'll be drinking, and we'll be celebrating it with you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank
Wayne.
you very
Really
much.
pleasure.
Cheers,
The
mate.
legend is
Cheers,
Wayne
mate.
Rooney. Or as I like to call him now because we're friends, Wazza.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.